talk about the Euros.
No Scotland, no party. I was actually watching the news after the Portugal game and how all the Germans, it's been edited brilliant to make the Scottish feel great, obviously, but they were like, oh, we want Scotland to come back here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That wasn't a South African accent, by the way. That was a German, yeah.
Das ist gut.
Yeah, it is.
Well, anyway, I was there for 2 weeks.
2 weeks. I was there
You're
in spirit.
I
was there in
I
spirit.
think I passed you twice.
When you thought you were dying with
my God.
too much alcohol. Hot
I did
alcohol in your
consume
blood.
quite a bit.
Did you?
Oh, it was actually amazing. The trip I had was amazing, and then shite at the same time. Because
No, I can imagine. Football is...
bit of a
but sport
damp
is like
squid.
that. The highs are high, the lows are low.
Well,
But you just think, you think about that, the German economy, I'm going back to the financials, they must have made enough
No, of
fucking
course.
skinny money
Aye.
on that.
we reckoned there was like, even just taking it conservatively at $5,000 ahead with 110,000, it was working at just under 600 million. So easily.
It's a lot more than that.
Bring
There
them
was
back
sponsorships,
again.
hotels,
You're into a
and all
billion.
those things.
This
yeah.
is just from the Scottish.
Oh, okay.
This is
so
just
so Scotland spent 600 million
Yep.
in Germany. Cool, easy. Yeah.
There was we've got a North Italian Tartan army that we meet up with all the time. So they've been going now 23 years, and they were talking to somebody that was to do with organising, and in Munich, they were told to expect about 100,000 Scots, and then it was about probably 200 in reality. I think I heard, and they were like, yeah, 40. So they geared up for 40,000. So me arrived a couple of days before the game. They were throwing up a fan zone area, and like there was bars on out of beer and all that. The food.
So the Scots drank Munich dry.
Most of it.
Wow.
I heard as well the oldest pub's like 150 years old for the first time in his life ran out of beer.
That's embarrassing though. For a
That's
country
just-
known
that's
for
just
beer.
That's just the volume that we drank though. But amazing. They were actually, the Germans were amazing. The whole country really welcomed us.
How many thousands of liters of beer do you think
Whoa.
it's consumed
No, that's a
on
calculation.
a sporting tournament like this? Must be huge. Must
Aye.
be millions or.
I heard there though that they put like drinking restrictions on the English, which is a bit unfair, really. The only ones, because they've been. I know they've got a reputation, but there's very little in the way any trouble from them. Has been like that for a few years now. But in the grounds and all, like they weren't allowed to drink, or at least restricted to do 2 drinks or something like that.
Is that right?
Aye, which we
I
never
didn't
had
know
any
that.
of that.
Because they're expected to win. The Scots are not really expected to win. We're just there for a bit of a party.
Oh, okay.
Well, we definitely
Can I
did
just
that.
stop you now?
You can, aye.
Have you got an irritation with your legs? Because
Yeah,
you're
always moving,
vibrating
constant.
like mad. It's like I just feel the vibrations here. I'm like, what is going on here?
Can't stop moving, mate.
Is it a car outside of a lorry?
I'm sure there's a
A nervous twitch. There's right in the
it could be
family.
dinos with something. I'm sure.
Don't worry about it. You
An
look fine
SD
to
or
me.
something. So anyway, today, what is the plan today?
I think we're gonna talk about a sales plan and what does that mean. And I don't want to go
Sales plan.
don't want to go too technical, but a plan is
Please
not
don't.
a measure of success, or neither is it a guarantee that you're going to be successful. But you need some sort of a map or some sort of a journey that you're going on in terms of selling. Because selling could be really, really... I mean, anybody that thinks that they're not a natural salesperson, raise your hand. And very often, lots of people raise their hand because they don't think they are salespeople. But if you're working for an organization, if you're working for yourself, you're a salesman.
Yep.
And sales is a noble profession. It's really a noble profession. So what does the sales plan look like? And we're going to talk about a couple of things that a sales plan should have, shouldn't have. It's just high-level things. But I'm also going to tell you that it's up to you to do it. Okay, it doesn't matter what anybody says. If you feel uncomfortable with something, you'll never do it. So the best guru in the world can come to you and go, this is how you need to sell. And if it's not inside you and you don't feel it, you'll never sell like that. You'll never even do it because you feel uncomfortable. So we're going to be chatting about 6 or 7 concepts. And I think the first one we want to talk about is prospecting, lead generation, big word. But how do you find your clients? What are you doing to find your clients? Because you're potential clients. Because that's the big thing is what actions are you taking? Are you relying on social media? What content are you putting out? Going
I think
to networking events?
social media is a fantastic tool for it. Whatever you're selling, whatever you're giving away. Social media, flyers, distribution. You know, you can really start from the very beginning a sales prospecting. So you're talking about lead generation.
Yes. How do you find the client? So how do you go out there and go, this guy is actually a good fit for the product or service that I sell, and he's actually going to pay me on time, and he's going to pay my price. He sees the value that I have, and he's actually just going to be a great guy. He's not going to be a bad guy.
I think what you have to do is really find out who that client is, who's buying from you.
Yeah. Because you don't want to end up wasting time. Like if you're investing in property, you end up going and looking at 4 bedrooms and things that need complete renovations, and in reality, all you can afford's quite in a good condition 2-bedroom. So there's no point wasting time looking at all of that, and you can just narrow your field down and not become a busy fool, like you're saying.
Because you, at the very start, you're trying to be everything to everyone.
Yeah.
And you can't do that. I know it's easier for us to say that in the position we're in just now, but, you know, rewinding back at the very beginning, you were a busy fool.
Yeah, you
doing everything, and you weren't getting the value for yourself and what you were trying to create. You were underselling yourself. So I think it's very clear what we're trying to say here. Hopefully it's clear. You have to figure out who your ideal client is, so then you know how to sell to them, or figure out where you can sell to them. Because some of these, because some of these clients may be hanging around certain areas, certain places.
Yeah.
So then that's, you know, where you're targeting. Exactly,
Johnny, because what you want to do is you want to hang out in those same areas. But once you know who they are, how do you connect with them? Do you reach out? Do you send them a DM? Do you send them an email?
I'd rather send them a pigeon.
But because people buy from people. You know, it's very much...
I hate that. Like I hate that saying.
I know you do, but you know what's one interesting thing is my daughter goes out on a date, and her criteria is just one thing. I need to feel comfortable. That's all she wants. She wants to feel comfortable with a person. And if somebody's going to buy your product or service, they need to feel comfortable with you. So what are you doing to connect with them?
Yeah. And we've just had that recently there, just 2 or 3 weeks ago. There was a client that had been recommended to us. We'd been recommended to them, and they had a quote for the whole job, and she was close to going with it, but she just didn't have the feeling. Like there was something just not sitting right with her. The quote, when we did see the quote, very vague, wasn't detailed at all really in what was going to happen there, and you could just see there was a potential there that the cheap price that was in, you know, that could be the extras would suddenly start to get added on, and that wasn't in there, and you know, you've got nothing to go with because it's so vague. So we went out, seen the job, did our own quote, very detailed, and you could just tell we were probably, I think it was 2,500 dearer, but she was much more comfortable with us going forward. So yeah. You need to, that was just exactly what you're saying there. You have to
Maybe
connect.
You should take Wicus' daughter for a date. That's
actually,
wrong on so many levels.
Yeah.
So thank you for saying that. I was thinking.
Well, actually, next week.
And Wicus is out the country.
Just
No,
to make
you're
sure she's
right.
all right.
Making people feel comfortable. That's a great analogy there. Making people feel comfortable, at ease, because that also allows them to trust you as well. Whatever services you're selling. You know, and this is when you were saying, this is why there's a lot of phrases out there, people buy from people. When I hear it, it just feels like a cheesy strapline. I know it's
Cringe.
fast. I know it's fast paced just to get to the point. But the problem is, you need to explain it. Go down the rabbit hole of explaining what does that actually mean. People buy for people. And it's just that context of, if you're liked, you build up a relationship and you talk their language and you're making them feel warm and fuzzy and connected, then that's what it means. That's simplifying it.
Absolutely. You know what? One thing that strikes me is very often when we go out and we sell, we meet someone and we think you could definitely do with whatever product or service I sell. You know what? They never buy from you. Why is that? Because people go through a cycle, and think about your friends. You met your friends. Mm-hmm. They either liked you or they didn't like you. Most of your friends like you, but they needed to get to know you before they trust you. And customers go on that same journey. They need to get to know you before they trust you.
100%.
Why would I buy from you if you're if you're one of 3 quotes, okay, and there's no transparency and it's vague? Why would I buy from you?
Mm-hmm. What are you doing? Back on what Michael was saying there. Some people are detailed with depending on what your business is, being detailed with everything, throwing everything on the bit of paper or the email to make sure, because what it tells a client is you're actually going through the whole journey of how you're going to do the job, and it reassures them that you're actually thinking.
There we go.
And you're listening.
Aye. Well, we spoke about in previous episodes, you know, giving your fact finder, whatever it may be, however, what you're looking for, right? When I was getting something done, that message never got conveyed back. And that lets me feel like it's a bit devalued.
You feel down.
It feels like I've not been listened to. You're like, fuck's sake, can you not listen to me and pass a bloody message on? That's in my head and how I articulate. That's how I feel. So it's the same idea for a potential client. If you can recycle what they've said to you, it's like a conversation piece, and this is a great sales tactic. So just to hear me out, this is what you're saying, you're wanting that. Am I right in saying that? It's reaffirming what they've said and go, God, they've just listened to me.
Absolutely.
And you can do it with somebody that's kicking back because they're unhappy about something. That's another different story, but you just rinse and repeat it to make sure that they've been heard.
Because what you're doing then is you're qualifying your client, and you can understand, is he going to be the right client for me? Are we the right fit? Or is it better just to call it quits now and just save ourselves a lot of heartache and pain?
Yeah.
And you don't want to be too desperate for the work. Like that will come across. They'll pick that up that you're desperate.
People smell desperation.
Yes, aye. So, yeah, you
and
need
try
to
not to be a
careful
race to the bottom with that as well.
Aye, you definitely don't want to race to the bottom.
Because the first thing you'll do when you get that is you'll cut your price. But you need to demonstrate value. And value is not necessarily the same as the cheapest price. And I think I've told you the story about Lloyd's going to Apple, wanting to buy the iPads, and they said price is £999. Lloyd's go, but it's 10,000 iPads. Yeah, Lloyd's go, we're going to go somewhere else. Eventually they did. But by then the price had gone from £999 to £1,099. Okay, so it's about the value you're able to demonstrate, and that you'll only get through in a conversation with a client.
Yes, and that sounds all great. All right, it's the value you show. However, how do you articulate that to a client? You know, you're going in, you're starting your business, you're giving them a quote, you're being detailed, you're building up the rapport, and then they say, it's not for us. This is where you've got to try and get that, because that's your stumbling block. We can say all this nonsense, and I say nonsense, it's the truth, and it's a part of the journey, but then you can crumble, because most salespeople absolutely crumble when somebody says no.
Yeah, so that demonstrating value part is really, really important, because you're right. We don't want to hear the word no, okay? And very often, because we're not natural salespeople, and nobody teaches you how to sell. No. Nobody teaches you how to sell. You can go on all the best courses. If you don't feel comfortable again, you won't do it. But how do you demonstrate value? It's about the little things that you do. Have you listened to the client? Actually listened.
Well, let's get a wee story out there. I'll say something that we did about a month ago. It was a big extension, and I think we were about 15 grand dearer. And we did get the job. And what I did was I rinsed and repeated what they said. So, what we've thought about, just to make sure, Bonnie, the dog. Now, have you penciled the dog to be in the kennels Bonnie? Remember the name, rinse and repeat it, because you're building up that rapport, relationship, right? And the kids, I know they'll probably get up about 7 o'clock, 7:30. Do you want us to start at 8:30? Because that might make things a little bit different, because when we break into your house, to knock that wall down, to extend it there, there's going to be a bit of mess, so it'd be better shutting off part of the living room so you can still get access through the hallway. So we're talking already, and that tends that we're doing the job. I know for a fact no one else, a competitor, will not be talking that way.
Now they will.
Well, they will, I'm giving them tips. But even down to Portaloo, is it okay? Because the guys, when they've got muddy feet, you're not wanting them trailing through in that cream carpet. Even if you covered up, we're probably better just getting a Portaloo, but we've included that in the price at £75 for a month or something. All right, you're building up the relationship and building up the reality of what's going to unfold, and we'd rather put everything on the table just now and let you understand that, so you can make the best decision going forward. Because I would hate for you to get through your journey and find all these things are in place, and then you're getting hit with extra costs, or you're having your family all dysfunctional and all stressed out. So what value do you put on that? And that's a story and a communication. The communication of it, breaking it all down, what their fears are, what's going to be expected in a job like this, because the chances are that we're only going to do it once, and that's a lot of money. You want to get it done once, and you want to get it done right. Am I right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Right.
Because the single biggest thing where guys fall down in sales is they never ask for the deal. They leave it open-ended. They don't ask, okay, so how do we go ahead? And this is not about objection handling or anything. It's just about, are we going to go ahead, yes or no? Rather get a no earlier on than waste 500 emails chasing somebody who's never going to be your client.
You can never get a decision made by email. I know you might disagree with that.
You know, you're right. You can
But
never
you have
make
to
it.
make sales on relationship building. It's got to be verbalised between the parties. So, and you don't actually have to suggest. You don't have to wait for them to say yes. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, you could just say to them, so we're going ahead. I've penciled you in the 29th of March, 2024.
Exactly. Until they have to say no to you. Oh, all right, sorry. Is there
That
anything
is
I've done
actually a
wrong?
better way, because I'd rather have a no up front, a no. But if I get a no, I would also challenge that and just say, you know what, for future reference, why did I not, could I do anything different? I just want to improve myself. Can you give me a few pointers? Just so you understand. And it takes a lot of courage to do that, because it's not natural. It's not natural. If we get no, we feel rejected. We feel like a failure. Mm-hmm. Part of life. You're gonna get no a lot more times than you're gonna get yes. But the better you get at handling those no's, the better you'll get at selling. So I mean, I'm saying that ask for the deal. There's no shame in asking. But the worst they could say is no.
Yep.
Yeah.
How often does that happen? I often ask my children, wash the dishes. I get no. Okay. How often does that happen? Not that often anymore.
But finding out why the no.
So he took his belt off and just went, you're getting it. Get the dishes
Can't do
washed.
that anymore. Can't do that
Consequence.
anymore,
Yes, you can.
Consequences.
Take the belt off, you
Shut
just
the
can't use it.
blinds. Lock the door.
Consequences to actions. Every action's got a consequence. But it's getting comfortable with a no.
Yeah, 'cause
How many times have you been said no to in this last week, though?
In the week, just once.
Ah,
I'm not going to that.
Should have asked him about the rejections.
Rejection's
It's a
different.
better one.
Oh, sorry.
Tunnels.
This gives you opportunity to learn, though.
It
If
does.
you can ask the questions, you know, what has been the stumbling block? You know, what's stopped us going forward, and it's X, Y, and Z. And again, it's uncomfortable conversations, but that will help you grow and learn as to what you've got to do with your pitch. Having a pitch is important. You know, going in there, it doesn't have to be scripted, but you need to obviously know what you're going to do and sell. Some businesses, like the letting side's very legislated, so there's legal implications of what you have to tell the client as you're trying to get that on board.
I just want to pick you up on something like that. You know what happens is lots of guys that we deal with, that we talk to, they're great salesmen. But you know where the sales knowledge sits? It sits in their heads. Okay, so they've done all these things. They've gone out. They know how to prospect. So they know what works, but doesn't work. They know how to connect with a client. They know how to qualify a client. They know how to demonstrate value. And they know how to ask for a deal. But you know what thing that they didn't do? They don't write it down. You know why that's important? Because at some stage, you're going to go, I'm too busy to handle all these inquiries. I need to get a salesman in. And you bring in a salesman, and he sells completely different to you. So that client experience is completely different.
They can destroy your business as well.
Absolutely. So just take the time and write it down.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a bundle. Please, if it doesn't fit in an A4, just don't even bother. But write down what you've done and the things that have worked for you. So that when you talk to that salesman, you go, this is the way you should be selling, because it's a training exercise.
And it also becomes part of your working manual as you grow.
Here we go.
Something you definitely need as you get further
We
forward.
have like a system in place, and it's tried and tested, and it does work. So qualifying your potential client. So if you found out the client, well, you're qualifying them first. So it's a set of questions, and that's already a sales game. You're asking questions, you're staying in control, you're trying to fact find that right client, because there's nothing worse when you get the wrong client, or you're selling, you're spending an hour, 2 hours a week on the wrong person. It does not, they're only wanting the cheapest price. So find that out. And also attack your fears. By attacking the fears, I'll give you an example of that. If we were possibly pricing a job, I'll say near the end, it's better for the end to say, right, so just, you know, and it's all about how you deliver it. It's all about your mannerisms as well. You could be asking them, say, look, just I've got a really good vibe from you. I would really like to do work with you, but I'm aware that we're all scoring each other out of 5. I mean, I'm scoring you guys probably a 4 or 5 out of 5 based on the fact that I think you'll be able to pay your bill. You pause, and what they'll turn around and say, well, oh no, we always pay our bills. I went, I get a really good vibe from you, but it's just what we do. We want to score our clients or potential clients, because sometimes we don't we don't want the work from them. We just think there may be a dull client, and already you're putting them on the different foot now. You're taking control. So it's little subtle things that you can do like that can actually help, but you've got to try and test them. Don't get me wrong, I've tried it a few times, and at the very start, I didn't articulate the right way, and I fell right on my backside. It was terrible. But the next one I got better. then I got better. So it's all about trying things and push yourself to be uncomfortable, because you might get just a golden nugget out of it.
Get out of that comfort zone.
Yeah.
I think it's really, really important, because like you say, you can do all of these things well. Okay, but if you're not going to be uncomfortable, don't do, because as we live in an age of instant gratification and everything gets done online these days. But guess what? Sometimes sales don't happen online. You need to step out your comfort zone. Because once you've done all of that, you need to bring that client on board. Okay, so how do you bring him on board? What's that journey look like? Customer journey. Does he get his quote on time? Is there somebody that says to him, like you've explained now, taking him to the quote, transparency, detail, being authentic. What does that process look like?
Yeah. And you'll find that you'll get better at it. And how I done it when I was first starting out is I'm looking for what the questions are. There's regular questions you get asked as you start to speak to clients, potential clients. And then when I'm speaking to them, I'm already answering all these questions.
So you're pre-solving their problems before they even come out.
That's kind of how I went around it at the start of it all. And then, there's maybe one or two other ones that will pop in, but then I just add them on my list of things that I'm trying to answer before you get there. Win a lot of business. And then you've also got at the back of that person's then going to become an ambassador for you. If you're doing a good job for them, word of mouth will grow. And then, you've got more clients coming through the door just by doing the work that you're saying you're going to do.
That's something really important. Everybody you've done work for, and they are clients, you need to make sure you're looking after them. And that's like an aftercare service as well.
Yeah.
It's all great doing the job, getting the money, but you also want to keep touch points with them after it. Don't be frightened of the fact that they might say, there's actually a wee snag on my watch, or whatever you're doing, candles or whatever it may be, joinery, whatever. Don't be worried about it. They'll appreciate the follow-up call. Or just say, I was in the area, or even, a great one, for a cheap box of chocolates. I forgot to give them a month ago. I'm really sorry. I just thought I'd drop them in. Oh, that's really nice. Because they're not expecting that. They're expecting it maybe a week after it, but maybe a month or 2 months. I'm really sorry. I can't believe I forgot that. There's a box. How's things going anyway? How are you? How's husband? And they're like, wow. And if you remember the names,
it's even
bang,
better.
Connection.
What you're after is client lifetime value. Not just that one connection. You want them to refer and recommend you. So that, let's call it client follow-up, aftercare service. Often you buy a car, and they're all over you when you go collect the car. But a month down the line, nobody's picked up the call. Nobody's picked up the phone. Just to phone you and say, listen, just checking how you're getting on with that car. Won't you pop into the dealership for a cup of coffee? We just want to check a thing or two. Think about that, because if you make that guy feel special, like he is number one, when he looks for his next car or car for his wife or his children, that's what they remember. It's about the feeling. We've spoken about it before. How did the sale make you feel? Mm-hmm. Does it feel like you're happy to part with your money? Mm-hmm. Does it feel like, I'm doing this begrudgingly? Yeah. It's when we go buy a car for my daughter and you walk around. If it's a clever salesman and he sees her next to me, the first question should be, who's this car for? Because if I'm looking at a BMW M5, it's definitely not for my daughter. Definitely not. But you could make that assumption. Okay, so assumptions again. So that client lifetime value, the after-sale service, the care you show with your clients, because you want to communicate with your clients. And I just want to clarify, communication is a two-way street. It's not you telling. It's about talking to your clients, getting their feedback, and feeding it back to them and letting them feed back to you. That is really, really important. That's a small little thing that everybody misses is once your client's on board, how do you communicate with him? How do you talk to him on a regular basis?
I'm going to have to stop you there because I'm getting irritated by Michael.
How are you getting on,
What
pal?
are you twitching at?
I'm actually working here in the background.
He's like, the look that he's just given me is horrific.
Is it a kicking look?
I'm going to kick you right in the face.
You're going to kick him under the table.
I just hear that. If it's no your knee, it's his knee, and it's a pen rattling against there.
So
Yeah,
like
I'm a busy
anything. Like
See,
anything.
attack your fears.
There we
attack
go.
your fears.
I'm going to attack something.
I'm worried because he could really hurt me, eh? But I know deep down, he's just full of cuddles. He's just full of cuddles.
So the biggest thing about everything.
Sorry, sidestep, but I have to attack my fears there.
Absolutely. Biggest thing about this, how do you measure it? How do you measure that what we've just spoken about is working for you or it's not working for you? Because if it's not working for you, why are you doing it?
Yeah.
Okay, so you need to find out something that you could measure. If you use social media to prospect, is it working for you? Is it not working for you? How do you measure that? Mm-hmm. Okay, can give you all the metrics you want to, but the ultimate measure is, are you getting the sale or you're not getting the sale?
So how did you do it when you first started then, Mike? Because you would have had that onboarding process. You've got clients, keeping an eye on them, how many clients were coming through, how many people came to talk to you and then never did nothing, or they weren't that ready at that particular time. Because I'd imagine it's quite a delay with people.
Different with it. I was on the tools, it was a different thing.
Right.
And then obviously when I started the letting agency up, like I say, there's a lot of legislation involved in that. So that onboarding process is quite specific. And that's just gradually got worse and worse in a sense of there's more and more that's been brought in. So when you're speaking to a client that's a new one that you're looking to pitch to there's a lot of stuff you have to legally get over to them.
Right.
So like we've obviously got like landlord information packs, and you're basically working with that when you're speaking to a client. And you don't need to word for word, be a scripted thing that you're reading through that. And it just because that comes with experience, obviously, as well, and your knowledge behind everything. But you're just when you're there, that's what you're going through. And by doing so, though, you're the credibility you've got that you actually know what you're talking about. Like I was in a property early doors as well, and the woman had 5 letting agents coming round. So I was early, and I had a good chat with her, and I ended up kind of overlapping for the next guy coming in.
Right.
And he came in, and I hadn't seen the property yet because we were too busy talking. So I had that rapport. So I had I'll just leave you two, and I'll just have a quick look round if you don't mind, and then I'll disappear, and we can catch up later. And I heard the guy going, "So have you let before?" "Yeah, magic! I don't have to go through all that nonsense with you then." And that was his pitch. Yeah. And
Right,
I'm
okay.
in this other room going, "Are you kidding me?" So needless to say, he didn't get it, but
Right.
we did. But aye, so.
But like, how would you, for somebody starting out, well, we've got your business, letting, construction, business, the business, what you're doing. How do you structure when you're first starting? How do you measure that for every black client coming in? How do you, what's simplifying it for somebody?
Well, you look at the channels that you're putting out there that you're trying to get business, and you just need to monitor that.
So
And that's
nuts and bolts is how many. So let's choose a very simple example. You go to networking and you get introduced into 10 people. You have 10 coffees with those people. Those are called 10 suspects to me because you don't know. From those 10 suspects, which of them ask for a second meeting? Maybe 5. How many of them get a quote? Maybe 3. How many of those quotes convert 1? That's a measurement criteria. So you know that out of every 10 people you meet, 1 is going to become a client. So if you want 10 clients, you need to meet 100 people.
Yeah.
Something simple like that. But you need to find the measurement metric that'll work for you.
Right.
Sorry, we've been interrupted by a scoundrel.
There we go.
My goodness.
This is great. This is what happens. So this is
live.
This is live.
Yeah.
We'll get them out.
So
What we want to do for people is you need to understand how you're going to be prospecting. Okay, how you're going to be finding your clients, how you're going to be generating your leads. You then want to connect with your clients. You want to make sure that you can qualify them, make sure that you demonstrate value, close the deal, bring them on board, follow it up, and measure it.
Yeah.
there's ways as well, like you can do like landing pages and stuff, and have like, you've got like got the word of it, like a promotion.
Yeah, like it's a QR code. When you do flyering, QR code to see where your clients are coming from. Because you need to know what's working for you and what's not working for you. We spoke about marketing. It's about that awareness. How does that awareness and interest translate into a sale? So if you send out 1,000 flyers and you only get 10 inquiries, and out of those 10 inquiries, you get 5 people get a quote and only 1 become a client. You know that out of 1,000 flyers, your success rate is 1 out of 1,000. Is it worth it?
Mm-hmm.
So, flyers are always worth it.
Here we go.
I'm a great ambassador for flyers.
Have we spoken about it before?
It gets you fit.
Aye.
2, you can actually start looking at the properties. I remember you said that in previous episodes. You got a chance to look at all the properties and see where you were. You can also meet people on the passing as well. I think it's a great way, and you can be selective. It goes back down to your opinions of the places you're dropping off the flyers, where you see the value. Sometimes you can get that completely wrong.
Yeah.
However, you've got to try and test it. When the flyers through the doors, there's obviously a strategic way of doing it. You just don't throw them round at any given time. It's got to be a specific time. But we've explained that in some of the episodes, and we'll do it further. The other part, if it doesn't work for going through the homes, you have to think outside the box. You can do it multi-storey car parks.
Yep.
Roll them up, put them in the door handles.
Not a fan.
Telling you.
Not a fan.
Why are you not a fan?
Just folk. I guess the learning's maybe a bit different from when I was doing it, but people get proper nipped when they've got to do it.
Great. Tell them to phone me. I remember we put a flyer, on a windscreen, right? And that's how, like, failure. The person left, never seen it on the windscreen, and went outside and freaked out, right? Start a learner driver, or, you know, just a newbie pass driver. Anyway, it wasn't her that phoned, it was the father that phoned. And he was raging. And I always remember, you have to kill it with kindness. I went, listen, I'm really sorry. I think it's just one of the young laddies that's been handing the flyers out. We're just trying to do our bit. Have you heard of us before? And he's like, I've not heard of you. She nearly crashed, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just hearing this white noise. I'm like, I totally understand. That's difficult. Is she okay? Yeah, she's fine. Right. I said, well, what I'll do the next time, I'll just be putting them in the door handles, because it's a lot easier to take out. So people say, you shouldn't be putting them in there. You shouldn't put them. And I'm thinking, I'm going to break through. I'm going to get a moment to get breakthrough. I just kept persevering with it and killing it with kindness. He didn't go ahead with us, but I says, will you remember us though? You know, for future, if there's anything you need. Oh, I'll remember you's all right. I says, listen, I really appreciate you phoning me up, and just, you know, tell her sorry about that, and we wish her all the best. I mean, let's be honest, it was nothing. So something must have been triggering him that day.
Sure.
And he wanted to have the bravado dad and phone up and blah, 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 blah. But I got the better hand. I got the upper hand on it.
Conversations is that, you know, when we speak about closing the deal, asking for it, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to answer. The best thing you could ever do is to pick up that phone. Just don't lose the moral high ground. Don't start screaming and shouting. Just kill them with kindness.
Yeah. You can put the phone down and then scream like mad and punch a wall. But don't lose your cool on the phone.
Absolutely. You know what they say is that when you get a bad thing or something happens, you type it out onto email or not an email, because you might just send it, but you write it in a document, or you write it down several times and you refine it, and there's all your frustration there, just there.
It's a good way of doing it. As I was told that a long time ago, but I'm just rubbish with computers. I wrote many letters out and just put them into Pigeon's hand, but then or claw.
And that was just last year.
Back.
So next session, what do we have to look forward to? It's going to be great. It's every accountant's wet dream. I know how much you're going to love this, but it is about the finances of a business and how. I know. And
then we're going to get an accountant on.
We are definitely going to get an accountant on in our next episode or two, because there are certain things that we want to start looking at, the more practical implications of.
Yep.
What you need to consider. Is a sole trader going to be better for you, or a limited company? Which one is better for you? Benefits in both. What's the tax advantages? So in our next episode or two, you can look forward to one of our accountants joining us and chatting us through those types of things.
Perfect.
Excellent. And what's the final quote?
Well,
Miguel Mancini?
I think you should do it, John.
This is your world. Shape it, or someone else will.
Awesome. So
Good stuff.
I'm
enjoy the
actually
rest
a
of
bit
the week.
emotional here. Eh?
Wow.
Can't believe I remembered it.
I'm going to give you a hug and a punch just in a minute. Right, until next time.
Cheers.
Ciao.